But I am Rising Wind Coach Cynthia Newell of Dare to Dream, and I support my clients with releasing internal struggles effectively and walking in newness. And one of the ways that I do this is through dream interpretation. And so God has gifted me with the ability to interpret dreams, to support people with clarifying what their dreams mean, and using that information to apply to their waking life, to solve waking life issues, to know how they're showing up, to know how you need to reposition yourself, to know what's blocking you, what's hindering you. Our dreams are one of the areas of our life that sometimes we just discount. We don't really think about our dreams being powerful communication airways, if you will, for you and God to commune. Through the years, I have learned that my dreams definitely speak, and there are things that my dreams wanted me to know. And because I was willing to pay attention to what my dreams wanted me to know, I was able to solve parental issues, financial crisis, understand who was for me and who was not for me, when to quit a job. The list goes on and on. And so tonight, we're going to be talking about 10 dream symbols that can signify enlightenment, growth, and newness. But before we dive into tonight's topic, this is week 3 of this series, and I hope that you have found it beneficial. The first week that we were here, I talked about 10 reasons why you may not be dreaming or why you're struggling to remember your dreams. And I also offered you some support on some things that you can do to help you to remember your dreams. And then the second week that we were here, I shared with you 3 reasons why you should pay close attention to dreams that don't make sense. And so I shared, some information there, and then how you can use that information. And tonight we're going to be talking about 10 dream symbols that can signify enlightenment, growth, and newness. And so I want to start with a dream, a story. So first, I want you to understand, and I'm sorry, y'all, I'm working with one good contact. I put my contacts on the wrong side, so this eye is blurry and this one is fine. But why is it important to understand dreams? Dreams are direct communications from heaven. They are your cheat sheet for life. In addition to the Bible, in addition to your prayer life, in addition to being out in nature, in addition to journaling, stillness and quietness, dreams are a powerful way that God communicates with us individually. And so for those who have been following me through the years, you know my story of in 2016 I was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. And in 2014, I started getting sick, but it wasn't bad enough for me to do something about it. And so in 2015, things progressed, and I later found out that year that I was expecting. And so I thought, well, maybe it's the baby. I was 39 at the time that I gave birth to her, my third daughter, my rainbow child, Samantha. And then when things did not get better and I started progressively getting worse, I knew that I had to go and get myself checked out to see what was going on. So I had an appointment for a colonoscopy that I just didn't make the appointment. So things continued to get bad. I would have bright spots. I would faint. I would be so weak. I couldn't keep anything down. I was constantly vomiting. Well, when I finally went to the hospital, because I just had no energy, just moving my hands just wore me out, walking wore me out. I found out that my hemoglobin was at 3.3, which you're supposed to be at a 12. And then I had lost so much blood, they said if I had cut myself, I was going to die. And they needed to know where the blood was, where was it going? Where was it going in my body? So we did a colonoscopy, come to find out there was cancer in my colon. So we have the surgery on April 19th. I have the surgery. I have this video. I have this video. I'm sorry. The day after the surgery, and I'm watching the sun rise, and I'm saying, it's a new day. I've always been very passionate about life, being intentional, doing things, but this experience just kind of catapulted me into making sure I take care of myself, making sure I love myself properly, making sure that I'm getting my health in order. So here it is. We fast forward to this year, April 19th, and it's my 8-year anniversary of being cancer free. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. The night before April 19th, I have this dream. In the dream, there are many components in the dream, but I'm going to share specific ones that tie into tonight's topic. I was at this park, and there were a group of people, young people, and they were out there dancing in the park. And so I had a part that I was supposed to do, dance. I dance. I'm more of the turn off the lights and put my favorite song on and dance that way. I'll rock a little bit if I'm in a club or whatever, but not really a dancer or at a party. I don't want people thinking I'm clubbing up in here. But when I was there, they was like, you're up next to do your dance. And I said, okay. And I started laughing, and I said, well, I'm not really much of a dancer, but you know what? I'm going to get out here and I'm going to do what I do. And y'all better not be laughing at me, because I'm going to give it my all. So there were other components to the dream, but that part stuck out to me. That part stuck out to me, and it ties into tonight's topic, which is talking about 10 symbols that can signify enlightenment, spiritual growth, mental growth, emotional growth, physical growth, newness, things like that. So first I want to say it is important to understand these types of dreams, because it will help you to identify why you're having certain waking life experiences. So what am I talking about? You may find yourself getting very antsy or irritated by things that you usually or that you once enjoyed. People you enjoyed being around, they kind of irritate you now, or you don't like being around them too much. Or when you go into an environment that didn't used to bother you, now all of a sudden it kind of bother you. You don't feel like you fit there anymore. You may feel like you have outgrown the space. It's to understand yourself on a deeper level, and for you to be encouraged and aware of what's going on. A lot of times we're walking through life blindly. We don't know where we are in life. I mean, we know physically, okay, I'm at home, but what stage of my life am I in? How far am I away from the thing that I pray for, that I ask God for? What are the indicators? What are the signals that let me know that I'm on the right path, or that I need to pivot and go down another road? Well, these dreams, these symbols that show up in these dreams, they're going to give you some insight into those type of questions. So the first symbol that can signify growth, that can signify newness and enlightenment, are trees. So trees usually represent, from my experience, now this is not a Google search, this is what the Spirit of God has put in me when I've supported others and when I've interpreted my own dreams. Trees represent systems of beliefs. And so if you're dreaming about trees, if you're dreaming about uprooted trees, if you're dreaming about trees that are really huge and you have to go around. I just had a dream like that, where there's this really big tree in the middle of the road, and I didn't let that tree stop me. It was really huge. Like, it took up like 3/4 of the road. I didn't let the tree stop me. I basically went around the tree. So trees, how you see the tree in your dream, how the tree shows up in your dream, will signify to you belief systems and things that are dominating. And if those trees are toppled over, if a storm has come through and knocked those trees down, or you see wind in the trees, there's movement, that is an indication that new beliefs are wanting to be, or have been, established in your mind, and you need to take root of them, allow them to grow. When you think about trees, I also think about the fruit that trees bear. So that's why I believe personally that trees represent newness. They represent your belief system, and you may need to examine your belief system if you see trees toppled over, or you see really humongous massive trees. What could that, and how the tree is, if the tree is blocking you from being able to go somewhere or do something. Look at your beliefs. Look at the belief systems that have been established through the years in your mind, and see where are there any big beliefs that are blocking me, that are keeping me stagnant, that are making me feel little, that are robbing me of my confidence. Once you address those things, when you identify them, then that will move you into the newness, because you'll start to work on those things from a different position. You'll start to work on those things intentionally, and you won't be able to stay the same. Therefore, you're welcoming in newness in your life, new thought patterns, new paradigms, new attitudes, new actions, new decisions, and all of that newness will bring you new results, new outcomes. So that is symbol one of a symbol that can signify enlightenment, growth, or newness. The next symbol is pregnancy. So if you dream that you're pregnant, or someone else is pregnant in your dream, that means that you're expecting something new, new beginnings and growth. You think about the gestation experience of a pregnant woman. I'm trying to stop saying. So y'all bear with me, because it's annoying me, because I'm consciously aware of it. However, when you see a pregnant woman, or you see yourself pregnant in a dream, it signifies you're birthing newness. Something is growing inside of you that is going to be birthed if you allow it to be birthed. If you don't abort it, or if you don't miscarry it because of misinformation, because of lack of confidence, because of misunderstanding. So if you dream of yourself being pregnant, if you dream of someone else being pregnant, that means newness is coming into your life. And so we're going to talk about in a little bit what to do with these dreams. How do you use this information? I'm going to give you 8 things total. But pregnancy, so you're expecting something new, new beginnings, and growth. You're growing something. You're growing it. You have to nurture it. There's a new side of you that is appearing, especially if you haven't had any children in a long time. But when you're bringing forth something that's new, it requires newness from you. When you're pregnant, you have to rest. You have to make sure you're eating. You have to make sure your self-care is optimum. You have to make sure that your mental care is good, so that you can be mentally, physically, and spiritually equipped to bring this human being into the world. And it's the same way in the spirit realm, or with an idea. If you're pregnant with an idea, you have to nurture that idea. That is newness being birthed through you. And so that ties into the third symbol, which is giving birth. So giving birth represents something or someone new is coming into your life. And what this means is it's activating a new part of you. When you think about your relationships, when you think about if you move to a new city, if you start a new job, anything that is introduced new into your life, it pulls out of you a new aspect of yourself. You may have behaviors that you carry from your old way, or where you were before, but you have to adapt. You have to change. You have to be willing to grow. You have to be willing to learn. Let's just say you move to a new state, you have to learn where the stores are. You have to learn the distance between the school and the job. There's so much you have to learn. And that means that there's a new aspect of yourself, or something that's coming into your life is new. And so that's another symbol that can show up in your dream that signifies newness, growth, or enlightenment. Number 4, a lot of people are afraid of this one. but I actually get excited when I see this, and I understand its context. But death or dying. So, an element of you or your life or your personality is being removed. So, again, there's adjustments. You're letting something go. And so, you have to adjust to a new normal. When we think about when we lose loved ones or we lose things that we value in this life, if we never find it again, we have to adjust to life without that thing. So when you dream about death, it is a signification, a signal that something new is getting ready to come about. However, before that new comes about, you have to be willing to let go of what no longer serves you, what you've outgrown, anything that gets in the way. And so a lot of times I know when I've worked with clients, when death comes about, the first thing that I always recommend to them, and I'm going to share here with you all, is to forgive. To forgive. You never know what's attached to that. I've seen in my dreams personally where I have dreamed of death, but not like seeing the person die. I would see someone in the clouds, or I remember in 2009, after my grandmother passed away, like a few months later, we in my dream, we were back at the church where my grandmother had where we had our funeral services. And I remember hearing myself in the dream say, wow, I can't believe we're back here again so soon. And then later that year, on the same day, the dates were transposed, but it was the same numbers. My little cousin was hit as she had got out of her car to get her purse off the top of her roof because she left it. She was driving and she remembered, oh, my purse is on the top of the car. So she pulled over to get her purse off the top of the car. And while she was doing that, the street was so dark, someone came by and hit her. And they kept going, and she eventually passed away. But that dream was signifying to me someone else is going to pass away because of where we were. So death may show up in different ways for individuals, for you. But if you dream of something dying, someone dying, don't be so quick to think that they are physically dying. It could be an element of life. The way you interact with that person could be dying. How you thought about that person, how you felt about that person. And newness is being birthed maybe in you all's relationship. So we went over, that's 4. So the first one was trees. The second one was pregnancy. The third one was giving birth. The fourth one was death. And the fifth one is recurring dreams with empowering in outcomes. So one of the recurring dreams that I have, and they still occur today, is about the snakes. When I first started having these dreams, these snakes were massive. They were intimidating. I'm usually crying and running, trying to get away from them. The next set of dreams in my 30s, I was cutting off their heads. I was still scared of them, but I was cutting off their heads. They didn't get smaller. The next set of dreams, they were bigger and they attacked someone that I loved. I had one that I talk about in my Dream Speak ebook, where the snake had wrapped itself around my grandson, and I was fighting that snake to get off of my grandson, but it wasn't that the snake was going to attack my grandson. My grandson was standing in proxy of the things that I love that matter so much to me. Now, as I've progressed and I've grown spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, now when I dream about snakes, they're much smaller, and I see them, I'm disgusted by them, but I'm not like, scared. So recurring dreams will show you newness, how you're responding in the dream, what you say in the dream. So just make sure you're paying attention to your recurring dreams. Those definitely can signify to you emotional growth, spiritual enlightenment, and newness coming into your life. You may have been in a season where everything was hard. You didn't have enough money to take care of this or take care of that, and you just was always broke. But and during that season, you kept having this recurring dream that you were finding certain things. Let's say you found a wallet, but the wallet was empty. You kept finding a wallet empty, or you find a wallet and there's very little money in there. Then you start having dreams where you find wallets or you see people giving you money. It's a recurring dream about money, but the outcomes are different. So you want to pay attention to your recurring dreams because they definitely give you indications of newness and spiritual growth and development. So I hope this is helping you all tonight. I have a few more to go over, and then I'm going to talk to you about how you use this information. And then I'm also going to share what to do when you have one of these dreams. 3 things you can do and 5 ways to use these dreams to your advantage. So number 6 is I am statements in your dreams. So the audible words that you speak in a dream are a reflection of your subconscious beliefs. So in that dream that I shared at the top of the live, I talked about what I said to the people when it was my time to dance. I said, I am not really good at this, but I'm going to give it a try. Now, if y'all laugh at me, that's fine, whatever. But I didn't allow myself to back down to that experience. Like, I stepped forward, and that is exactly the mindset that I have in life right now. I may not know, I may not be sure, I may not be confident, I may need to learn a little bit more, but I don't let that stop me. And so you want to pay attention to what you say in your dreams about yourself, especially those I am statements. You know, if you're saying, I am more than a conqueror, or you're singing a song, pay attention to the songs you sing in your dream. Those are a representation of what is really going on in your mind. If you're saying stuff like, I am not capable of doing this, I'm not smart enough, I'm not strong enough, it's still an opportunity for newness to come into your life, because now that you have this information of what that means, now you know what you need to work on in your waking life. So if you're saying stuff like, I'm not smart enough, I don't have enough money, I'm not equipped enough, I don't have the right people, now you know what you need to do. You need to ask God to show you who the people are so you can move forward with the assignments that God has given you. So the next symbol that can signify enlightenment, growth, and newness is dreaming about the numbers 1 and the number 8. The number 1 represents new beginnings, fresh starts. The number 8, biblically, spiritually, represents a new day. So if you dream of a combination of numbers that equal 1 or equal 8, then just know it could come in the form of change. You get back in a dream, you get some change back from somewhere, you spent some money, and all those numbers equal 8, or all those numbers equal 1. Then pay attention to that, and I'm gonna tell you what to do with that information. But those 2 numbers are very powerful numbers. If you dream of 11 or 88 or triple those numbers, that signifies newness is in your life. Okay, so number 8 is the color white. Same thing. The color white represents new beginnings, purity, a blank slate. So if you have been one that has made a lot of mistakes in life, you've wronged a lot of people, or you're wanting to change your career, you're wanting to go to a different career field, and you start dreaming about white, that is an indication to you to embrace the newness and saying to you, you have a blank canvas. You can paint whatever picture you want to paint on this canvas. So that goes back to what you're believing about yourself, what you're believing about your abilities, your capabilities, all of that. It brings you to a new awareness. And that's what these dreams are all about. Newness, helping you to understand where you are and how to use the information that you're given. I got a couple of more. The next one is hair growth. So when you dream about hair growth, and like, I've had these dreams multiple times, but I'll be combing my hair, and then as I'm combing my hair, it's getting longer and longer and longer. And I'm like, wow. Or I would have just been in the mirror, come back, and my hair is really full, and long and or a big afro. When you dream about those types of things, it's representing a new awareness. It's increased knowledge, increased understanding, and more wisdom has come to you. And so you just want to look into your life and see where you can apply this information. But newness, wisdom, deeper understanding, deeper awareness, that's what dreaming about hair means in your dream. And then the last one is dreaming about a sunroof or a moonroof. So if you're looking up through the roof, or there's an open roof, or you're climbing out of the roof of your car. If you're dreaming about a sunroof, moonroof, climbing out the roof of a car, I've personally experienced that is spiritual enlightenment. You are elevating, you're opening up your consciousness to receive more of God. You're advancing your it's a word that I want to say, but it's not coming to my mind. But you're growing, and so those 10 symbols can represent, the list can go on and on. I'm just pulling from the dream interpretation sessions that I have had, that I've given to people, and then the dreams that I have had. And these are the things that usually show up in your dreams when God is communicating to you. Okay, you get a moonroof in your new car, your next car. Okay, claim it and proclaim it. Yes, yes. But I want to share with you, like, what do you do? So now you know what to look for in the dream, what it could possibly mean, what it wants you to know. So how do you use these dreams to your advantage? So one of the things that, one of the things that I recommend is that you get excited. You get excited about your dreams. You get excited about this type of dream, and you welcome the experience. Because we were made to grow, we were made to develop, we were made to advance, we were not made to stay the same. And so if you're dreaming about something that's signifying newness for your life, get excited about that. Get excited about being stretched and an opportunity to go down a different path and explore a different version, or have a different experience with yourself, with life, with regards to relationships. I say get excited. Number 2 is focus on an area of your life you're ready to experience change. And so, or that you've been, thinking about, you want to see this area change. If you're dreaming about newness, these symbols are showing up in your dreams, then you can activate the awareness, the wisdom that you need to navigate these experiences. So let's say you're in a horrible relationship and you're ready for something new. And new doesn't necessarily mean divorce, but you want to experience your partner, and you want you all to experience each other in a different manner. Having a dream like this can help you to open yourself up to the new ways that you can be there for each other, love each other, grow, and groom each other in the relationship. And so I would say focus on an area of your life that you're ready to experience change. So be excited and then focus. And then let go of the limits that you have placed on yourself and your circumstances. If you're seeing a dream that is telling you that newness is in the works for you, then you have to be willing to let go of the limits. You have to be willing to let go of the how. I think about in the 1212 community, we talk Sunday about prosperity. We're doing the book, the spiritual law of prosperity. And we talked about Joseph, and you know how Joseph had a dream in the Bible. He had a couple of dreams that showed him who he would be in his life. And even though Joseph, when he shared those dreams with his brothers, they sold him and he was a slave. It took time for him to get to the vision that God showed him in the dream, but it came to pass. He didn't allow his circumstances to limit his faith. And so we have to be willing to look beyond our perceived limitations. We may feel that we're older Or we may feel that we don't have enough money. We don't have the skill set. We don't. If God is showing you that newness is coming, then you need to be open and receptive to what God is showing you. So number 4, so this is how to use these dreams to your advantages. And these dreams, what I mean by these dreams, are dreams that show you symbols that newness, spiritual enlightenment, and growth is taking place in your life. Number 4 is develop. It helps you to develop a deeper self-love and appreciation. So when you can see where you are, it's like physically being in life and you feel lost, and then you get this clue. Oh, I'm supposed to go this way. Oh, this is the monument that I'm supposed to see to let me know that I'm going in the right direction. It's the same with your dreams. When you have a dream that tells you that newness is coming for you, then you can get excited about that, and it helps you to feel more connected to yourself and know, okay, I'm going the right way, and you feel appreciative. You feel grateful for that nudge, that wink, that message from heaven that, okay, we going the right way. We doing the right thing. So another advantage is it gives you the one up to know what you need to declutter and remove from your life. And this could be people, places, things, attitudes, habits, thoughts, decisions, default settings, all of those things. It could mean all of that. In order for you to, you can bring new stuff in your life, but it's just, I'm looking at my closet and I've been updating my spring wardrobe. To make sure that I have enough room in my closet and in my room, I have to get rid of things. I have to look closely and examine things that I don't wear anymore, that I haven't worn in a long time, that I feel is out of season or out of style. And I have to get rid of them to make room to place my new stuff in my closet. And it's the same way with the spiritual world, the dream world. When you're dreaming about newness coming into your life, you have to survey your life and say, okay, where can I make room for this newness? If you're still carrying baggage from a previous relationship, you won't have the capacity to appreciate, or even you won't have the capacity to be even open to a new relationship. So you have to look in your life and see, where can I declutter? Look in your mind. What beliefs can I let go? What beliefs am I holding on that I'm making true, but I know deep down inside they are not true? They are not true. So those are 5 ways of how you can use these dreams to your advantage. Now I want to share 3 things that you can do when you have one of these dreams. So the first thing is, if you don't really understand where the message applies in your waking life, prayer is the key. Faith unlocks the door. How many old school people remember that song? No, I'm just kidding. So you can ask for greater clarity if you're not clear about where the message applies. So you want to journal the dream, of course. And then if it makes absolutely no sense because of some of the things that I shared with you earlier, then you want to ask God, okay, where is this applying in my life? And then you can also look at the dream for other clues, context clues that will give an indication. Maybe your son popped up in the dream, or maybe your spouse popped up in the dream and you all were doing something. I had a dream one time where me and my mother, we were walking up these stairs on this mountain and it was all white snow. And so I knew for me and her, that meant a healing in our relationship, growth, spiritual enlightenment, understanding, compassion. We were walking up those steps together. So I knew that the newness that was coming was going to affect me and her, or our relationship. So just pay attention to who may be showing up. Number 2, you want to examine your life. And I think I kind of talked about this, and find areas that you feel that you are out of place, or that you feel that you've outgrown. The recent church that I was in, I had outgrown that place. And not to be bodacious or prideful or think I'm higher than anybody else. People can only take you as high as they have gone themselves. In the 1212 community, we know that as law, and so I had to move forward and leave that place. So you want to look into your life. It could be old habits, old ways of eating, y'all. It could be some of the simplest things. If you know every time you eat that bologna sandwich, you get heartburn, you might be being told it's time to let that go. Okay? All right. So you want to look in your life and see what have you outgrown, what feels out of place. That's how you can apply this information. And then the last thing is you want to believe in yourself and you want to believe in the love that God has for you. Growth and change can be scary because it deals with the unknown. And so you have to trust that you are equipped enough for the journey, that you have everything that you need to successfully transition to the newness that God wants you to experience in your life. And that comes from that self-talk. I did a teaching, 13 reasons why self-talk matters. You know, what you talk about to yourself in your mind, it becomes true outside of your mind. So you have to be careful with what you're saying to yourself and what you're believing about yourself and other people. So you want to believe in yourself. Don't talk yourself out of newness just because you're scared. I'll share a very vulnerable story. I like to rock wigs, not because I'm ashamed of my hair, but if you know me for a while, I like to switch up my style. And so back in March, I had cut my hair. I had cut it really low, like it was much lower than this, like a fade or what, I don't know. And so I was still rocking the wigs, and a couple of weeks ago, I was getting ready for work, and I didn't want to wear a wig that day, but I wasn't ready to go to corporate with my hair like this. And so this year, in my personal year one, it's all about change and facing fears. And so as I stood there in the mirror, I said, well, you know what this means, right? Because you don't want to do it, you're afraid to do it, that means you have to do it. You have to face this fear and do it. And, you know, I did it. I went to work and I didn't have on a wig. You know, we talk to ourselves. We have these beliefs in our minds and all of these things, all like Tiffany Child say, all of the things. But it was fine. I've been going like this ever since, you know, but I share that story to say change can be scary. It can be difficult. It causes things in us that we sometimes don't deal with right away to rise to the surface. But you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that God has equipped you. And if you don't feel that you are capable to do or walk through the doors that God is showing you that are open for you, hire a coach, join a community, be supported. You don't have to do it alone. My 1212 community, I've been rocking with them since, I think, 2020. And I ain't going nowhere because that group of sisters, and it's men in the group too, but the love, the genuine support that we have for each other, we show up for one another. There's no judgment, you know, and so it's important that you have that in your life. And sometimes you can't find it in your own family. Sometimes you have to go out and you have to be amongst strangers. So don't be afraid to reach out for support. Okay, we talked about a lot today. I talked about 10 dream symbols that can signify enlightenment, growth, and newness. And then I share with you 5 ways to use these types of dreams to your advantage. And then I rounded us out, close us out with 3 things you can do when you have one of these dreams. And so let me get out of here. Thanks for joining tonight, y'all. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.